Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to BCB Live. We are here on a beautiful Monday morning with a great victory from the Dallas Cowboys yesterday, doing an outstanding job. Sir Rick, how are you doing this morning, sir?
I'm doing well, sir. Thanks for asking. But we started with a devastating weekend with the weather up in Kentucky, Illinois, Arkansas, Tennessee. Man, just some great devastation that happened.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I don't even think they have a total toll of the death count yet. There's still lots to be going. Look at this factory. I believe this was in Kentucky. Is that right? This was a factory in Kentucky. Still 100 people missing from from the storm during it. I think 9 dead so far in that Kentucky storm. But you look at some of the aerial photos of the hurricane. I mean, the tornadoes that went through here just wiped out regions, and it wasn't just one place. It wasn't just here, there, everywhere. How many did you say, producer? Almost 70.
I believe it was 70 storms at the same time, or 70 tornadoes, I should say, across these 8 states, and over 100 people suspected dead as of right now.
Yeah, we have the in Kentucky there at Mayfield, Kentucky. We have 8 workers confirmed dead right now. 94 workers have been located. There were 110 working, and others are still missing out of that factory right now. That storm, that tornado, they say somewhere between 200 to 250 miles on the ground. Without a doubt, if that's the case, would be the longest the longest a tornado's ever stayed on the ground in the history of the United States.
Yeah, that on record, and I know there's been throughout history. There's been a lot of tornadoes, a lot of record of tornadoes uh, running through different communities, and but this probably, I think one of the last ones I remember was Springfield. Remember the one that hit in
Mm-hmm.
Springfield and caused all those deaths? This one right here just ripped through states after state after state, and continued to pummel the ground. And you know what? It was very just picked and choose where it wanted to crush. One house would be perfectly fine. The next house would be just gone.
Yeah, the Kentucky governor, Andy Beshear, said at least 80 people were killed so far in Kentucky, and without a doubt, they expect that to exceed that 100 mark. And drive safe, David. Just really, the power of the tornado, the power of storms, the power that Mother Nature brings, man, it is for real. And when we get these warnings, when we're driving out there on the road and we get the warnings of a tornado possibly coming, or we're driving into an area that where the weather's bad, and you see it and you're hearing about those warnings, we've got to make sure that we give them, Dave, the respect that they deserve.
Yeah, you're talking about these tornado warnings, which are actual sightings of tornadoes. When they hit the ground and they come across on your phone. I mean, I get weather
Mm-hmm.
reports on the phone, and if you're in an area that you get a report, pay attention to those. Recognize what they are, because this is evidence. And this is proof that Mother Nature doesn't can't be stopped.
Yeah,
Mother Nature cannot be stopped.
without a doubt, we just have to learn to heed those warnings, and maybe this is a good week as well to remind us what to do on the road and drive safe. I'm going to say, if you don't have those weather alerts on your phone, if you haven't subscribed to a weather channel, make sure you do it. And that's part of when you do your pre-trip in the morning, part of what you have to do is look at where you're going to, not just where you're at. It can be sunshine and just a beautiful day, but 200 miles up the road, you may be going into winter weather, you may be going into high winds, or God forbid, something like that just happened over the weekend.
Yeah, and this is we talk about the weather, we talk about preparedness. There's all kinds of preparedness that you can take. It's part of your pre-plan, it's part of your pre-trip, it's part of what you do to look out and look ahead. You make sure that you have the right clothing, make sure you have what you need. There's so many things that go into being genuinely prepared for a storm, but those driving conditions, those are what makes a difference out there on the road. It will change in an instant, and I'm telling you, nobody around you is experienced enough to actually do the job well unless you're out there in an 18-wheeler. I'm telling you, the 18-wheelers have experienced most of these, but they're susceptible to Mother Nature as well. I've seen big rigs picked up in the sky and tossed around like matchsticks in the sky by a tornado. Unbelievable with that much power.
Oh yes, we saw that in Dallas, not too a couple years ago, I believe, at the yards there. So there's a crazy amount of power these storms punch. But Drive Safe, we spoke on Sunday, and one of the things we talked about as an industry, I couldn't pick a better industry to be proud of, to be part of. The hearts and souls of a trucking industry. And that includes the shippers, that includes the truck drivers more than anybody, and those trucking companies. And Dave, I just think somehow, some way, we have to do something to help out with this devastation. We can never replace life, but there are certain times in our lives that we have a chance to make a difference. And Drive Safe, I just think this is one of those right now where we can make a positive impact on so many lives as an industry, as a trucking industry, and show the world who we are as well.
Well, there's a lot of ways to do it, but we have to find we have to channel that. We have to direct it in a specific way. I know that the American Red Cross does a great job in helping out and benefiting those people, especially in those storms. They're one of the first to heed the call and the first to answer the call. I do know that they're on the ground right now helping across the country these victims.
Yeah, so stay tuned to BCB Live. We're going to find some different ways, some ways to channel this through our industry. And when we do this, you have a chance to not only just give, for a great reason, a great cause, but to reach out to others and do the same thing. We want to make a positive impact in Dave, our hearts go out to these families. We're talking death. We're talking people that woke up that next day or discovered that their wife was no longer there, that their son was killed, their daughter, their grandmother, their spouse was gone.
Yeah, they'd gone to work at a candle factory and not returning home, or gone to work at the Amazon distribution center and not coming home. That's the reality of, you don't think that's a dangerous job, and here it is. A moment later, the blink of an eye, a snap of the finger, and a hurricane, a tornado comes in at 180 miles an hour, picking up, tearing it, and will bend metal. Will bend metal and beams and just wreak. And I'll tell you, what's so scary is it just comes without notice. It just hits on the ground, and they think it's a rainstorm, and the next thing you know, the building's coming apart. The building you're standing in is coming apart.
And let's face it, so many houses, those of you that grew up in Missouri, Kansas, in these areas, you hear these warnings all the time. And I'm not talking just watches. I'm talking warnings. You deal with that. It's kind of part of your life. And when do you take it serious? Somehow, every time. I think this is, again, is just a reminder of that, man, Mother Nature can drop these things all over the place without any we have all this technology, Dave, but you don't know when that thing's going to pop out. Right? 1 minute it could be it just looks like that cloud, and the next thing you know, it's popping down on the ground. We also want to make sure we remind each and every one of you of the big storm we have coming, starting today in that Pacific Northwest.
Oh, yeah.
Man, we're no buckle up. Bob's going to talk about that. But Dave, we talk about power again of Mother Nature. We're expecting in the upper elevations upwards of 8 feet of snow to drop in the next few days.
Yeah, and just so it takes 1 inch of rain turns into 1 foot of snow. So if you're having 8 feet of snow, that's like 8 inches of rain. So that's how it correlates into to white powder out there. But not only are we talking about snow coming down in high amounts, which they're used to in the Sierra Madres, we're talking about high winds in excess of 100 miles an hour. You're talking about snow going left and right, not straight down. You're talking about dangerous conditions that can blow over any tractor trailer. I don't care what you got inside.
Yeah, so if you're going to the Northwest, if you're going that area, I want to encourage you to really plan your route out. Call your company, call your safety folks, call your dispatcher. Heck, look at the phone yourself. Look at your technology,
Absolutely.
Map yourself where you're going, make sure it's safe, and if it's not, make that phone call. Communicate to your customer, communicate to your dispatcher, communicate to somebody what you're going to do. It's what we've got to do. We'll be back to you in 60 seconds with BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Hi, this is David Dover, also known as Drive Safe Dave. You are watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Safety is what you want to talk about, and safety is what you want to be every single day. That's what we're here for. We're here to make it better.
The industry needs BCB Live so that it can find new and inventive ways to bring safety to the forefront for every single person out there on the road.
You got to be prepared to stop. And when you look at that and you understand the situation that you're in, you got to know that it's going to change. You got to expect it to change, and you can't run those lights.
You can watch BCB Live weekdays, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. So what are you waiting for? Follow and subscribe to BCB Live today.
Rick Larkin here, host of BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. If you don't already know about Freight Review, it's a segment I cover once a week where I analyze freight rejections, freight tenders, driver productivity, and much, much more. You can watch Freight Review on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live.
Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Hey, drive safe. We had a Cowboy victory yesterday.
We did. I talked about it earlier.
We had said that point spread 5.5 is what we said on, I think, Saturday, but it did jump up to like 9 points, I think, with a couple folks injured. Cowboys didn't cover at that point, but they had covered earlier, and we were saying, hey, 5.5 points, hey, bet the house. So if you bet the house, hey, congrats, you just won another house.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So, Cowboys win. They're all but secure their playoff spot in that mean NFC East. They play the Giants next weekend. Those of you, and let's face it, who's not a Cowboys fan?
That's
you know what?
America's team.
America's team. If you're an American, then you love the Dallas Cowboys.
Already.
Hey, drive safe. Speaking of Texas, Central Freight Lines, the longest LTL company around now, 96 years in business, announced that they're going to be shutting the doors down about the 22nd of November. So they become 2,100 employees to be laid off right before Christmas. The largest company since Celadon, which closed back in 2019, to close its doors. And the president, Bruce Callum, said, "Hey, years of operating losses and struggles for many years sapped our liquidity. They're gonna, they believe they have a large trucking company that's going to take their drivers. They believe they have majority of their equipment kind of liquidated, getting ready for pre-liquidation already. But drive safe, Dave, and to our drivers out there across the nation, we look at this company right now, and I know, we've had, Big Blue, president of BCB Transport's been, worked. That's where his roots came from. He was started at Central, but it's a company in my mind that never kept up with the technology in trucking. They were kind of like the old Consolidated Freightways, probably maybe like Yellow Truck
Freight.
Line. Yeah, kind of the same thing. The old truck line that never kept up with technology. And you know what? They took a pay cut a couple years ago during COVID. The drivers did. Very, upset about it. They stuck with the company, tried to make it happen. But at some point, you can't get out of what's been done. And for the company drivers out there for work for companies, I always just encourage you to remember that everything you do right now, it matters to your company. And it's hard to look and think that, man, drive safe, is what I do really that important? Who cares if I steal 20 gallons of gas? Who cares if I just one time I sell some fuel? I need some money. How does that really going to affect? I'm just one person. Well, you're not one person. And this industry that we are in, it's a penny industry where pennies add up. When you tear a truck up, right?
Yep.
When you go out a route, I'm just going out a route a couple 100 miles. What is that at the end of the day?
Yeah, and it goes beyond that. It goes beyond that. Look, you have to take a responsibility to what you do, and it goes even further than that. In something so simple as making sure your truck's PM'd on time, right? When was the last time you got a PM done? When was the last time you made sure the equipment that was messed up, that you got it out and you made sure that it was fixed? I mean, there's just certain things that you can do to make it better, and to believe for a minute that every person can make a genuine impact on the outcome of the company and the profitability of a company is true.
Yeah, it really is. And if you're out there right now, and again, I think there is a difference between a company driver and an owner-operator, independent contractor. Independent contractors, they can see what I'm getting ready to say a little bit easier because that's what they are. They're their own business.
Right.
And you as a company driver right now, what you should do and the way you should look at what you do is you're your own 7-Eleven store. You're your own business. Every one of those trucks out there, you are running your business. And that business, whether you're that could be a Long John Silver's, a McDonald's, however you want to envision this, if that business isn't making money, that truck isn't making money, well, you're hurting the big company, right? The franchisee, you're hurting the corporation.
And yourself.
Absolutely.
Right?
And you've got to take ownership of that portion that says, you know what? My store, my restaurant, my business is going to be profitable.
Yep. And
don't be afraid to ask. Ask your operations manager, ask your dispatcher, hey, how am I doing? Am I creating revenue for the company, or am I creating a loss for the company? What is my value to this company? And that comes into the fact of even being safe. Yes, being safe is your way to run that store the right way. If that store, if you're out and you don't, you're just hopping out of your truck or whatever, you're not using the proper steps of getting out of the truck and you slip and fall, well, that store's shut down.
That's right.
And how's that company how's your store gonna make money if you're not there to operate it? It's little things like that, maximizing your fuel economy, reducing your out of route miles, doing a pre-trip, post-trip, getting out and looking, slowing down, drive safe, Dave, increasing your space between you and the vehicle in front of you to make sure that if something happens, your store can stay open. It's all critical to the success of any company in America. And I'm going to tell you, that's the way you have to treat your business, your store, for your company.
Yeah, it's an opportunity to do the right thing by what you're doing. Not very many businesses, and I'm going to be, not very many businesses hire a person and then hand them a $180,000 vehicle to just go, here, take off, we'll see you later, because of what you are, who you are. You are a professional, you have a CDL, you're expected and held to a little bit different degree than most businesses out there, Rick. You got some people that don't even get the key to the building, right? But they come in and they work. But here you're giving the keys to the machine to go out there and do the job, like no other
You've
company.
been handed your own franchise. You've been
boom,
handed
here.
your own store.
Here's a key and a fuel card. But
man,
go make some money.
Create some success.
That's right.
And what a great blessing that is. And you know what? Part of the beauty of what we do in this industry is that independent, right? Even as a company driver, you are so independent to go out there and create revenue, to go out there and create margin. And margin is that money that gets applied to the company. And guess what? If a lot of those stores aren't making margin or isn't creating money, isn't creating bottom line for that company, drive safe. We have to remember that behind that one store, right? Behind that truck that you're out there running today, it takes somebody to do payroll. It takes somebody to do the billing on that side. It takes a salesman, an operations person. Somebody's got to pay for the facility. Somebody has to pay for the gas. And hey, guess what? When enough of us make money, and when enough of you make money, we still have to have enough to pay Uncle Sam.
And he's going to get his.
He's going to get his. And it sounds so daggum easy, I think. I think we hear these numbers that say, oh, look at all that money that company created. That company made they did $100 million in revenue. And that doesn't impress me very much, try to say, because of that $100 million in revenue, the big question is how much of that went to payroll, how much of that went to fuel, to equipment costs, to insurance, to work comp, all of that. And guess what? There still has to be enough money in there left to pay for the facility, for the software, for the taxes, for the fuel taxes, for everything, for the lights. You can go on and on and on, and every penny does matter. Yep. And you owe it to your company. No matter, I don't care where you are. When you're at McDonald's right now, don't give it 4 shakes of salt if it's only asking for 3, because that's 1 shake of salt that you just wasted. And when it happens across the board, it adds up.
And you know, and I've always liked the adage, you know, each person can make a difference. Each person can do what they can do to make a difference. And when each person applies that concept to themselves on what they're doing each and every day, it can matter on the overall outcome of what we're talking about here. And you know what? You have a personal responsibility to take accounting of what you're doing, of how well you do every day. You know, you don't have, as a truck driver, and I'm just going to mention truck drivers, you don't have somebody standing over you, right? You've got a dispatcher or a driver manager a phone call away, but really you don't have anybody just hovering over you and watching what you're doing. You're pretty much responsible for your own time, and how you do it and how you manage it is up to you. And you know what? You can make a difference and we'll start with this, and I want to make sure we start with this. You do start with safety. You do. It is your personal responsibility. It is it is the most important thing that you can do in the right mindset to go out there and be safe. And something so simple as getting out and looking matters, right?
It
so
does.
Rick, and it matters. It matters in the overall business cost of the business. It matters in the overall aspect of how you affect other people's lives. Because if you can save lives, what other more important thing is there out there?
Yeah, that is without a doubt the most important thing you have to do. Now listen to me. We're going to have to go to a break in just a second. Before we do that, I just want you to hear this right now, because it's something that I believe every company also needs to hear, is that while you as a driver, perhaps, maybe you don't control your rate per mile. Maybe you don't control what load you're under. Focus on what you do control. You do control that ability to be safe. You do control that ability to get out and look, the ability to make sure that you're not following too close. You do have the ability to save on fuel costs. Focused on what you do control, those controllables. If everybody owns that portion, right, Dave? If everybody owns their portion of the controllables, you're going to make it, and you're going to make more money, and you're going to be more successful, and you're going to make it happen and save lives. BCB Live, we'll be right back in 60 seconds. We are the safest station in the nation.
You're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. BCB Live covers freight. Here we are now, 21% of record freight being rejected.
News down in Texas. We're going to talk a little bit about this. We had another $1.5 million seizure. If ever there's a time to do a pre or post trip, it's if you're doing something wrong.
Weather, traffic.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to some traffic and weather with Buckle Up Bob. You kind of see where the visibility can be compromised a little bit. Again, right where that rain is.
And most importantly, safety.
One of the things that we must do is make sure that safety is the number one thing that we focus on.
Going into an intersection, yellow is not the way. That's to clear an intersection, not to enter an intersection.
Tune in weekdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can watch BCB Live through LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live.
Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive safe. I do get it. I love when we have the opportunity to share with the drivers, our listeners out there, how important what they do is. Because sometimes I think that, and I think we're all guilty of it, we forget that everything we do really does matter.
Of course it matters. It matters in life, what we do, and it's who we are, and how you do it and what you do does matter.
Yeah, I mean, and the actions that you do out there on the road, it does matter. We want you to think about that as we're moving towards really improving this, who this industry is, our industry. We have to make sure that we're doing the right thing out there on the highway, and that is letting people in, being patient, and packing some extra patience, making sure you're communicating in. And it's not just you. We're talking to the trucking companies as well. We got to make sure that you know that you've got to do your part to make sure you're over communicating sometimes to those drivers, letting them know where the dangers are, letting them know what to expect on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. As far out as you know, hey, make sure they're on the same page as well. Communication is so key to what we do in this industry.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it's really, and we talk about it. We talk about people talking, but we talk about when we we mention things like the image of the industry. It's only us that can change it. It's only us inside the industry that can change it. There's so many times I hear on the news and I hear stories about a big rig smashed into something or a big rig had a wreck. You know, they don't ever say four-wheeler had a wreck. They don't ever say, you know, or they don't ever say a 38 Special robbed a gun. They say a man robbed a gun. And what they do is they try to impersonify, they try to take away the personal aspect of what it is out there on the road. We have to get that image of what being of us out there, that we're people and it's not just a machine. It is the person behind the machine.
It is the person behind the machine. We want to remind each and every one of you, as you're driving that machine, when you see a crossing like shown on Drive Safe Dave's shirt, that you pay it and give it the respect.
Absolutely.
It also deserves. Drive Safe, talk a little railroad crossing to us.
This means railroad crossing ahead. This means you're going to cross a track. And I'm telling you how important. I try to emphasize railroad crossings because they are unforgiving. They do not pause. In fact, railroads don't stop. They come to a slow roll and they eventually stop. They can't stop on a dime. They can't stop quickly. So those railroad crossings are very dangerous. And you know what? You'll lose. That's the difference between a railroad crossing and an intersection. You're going to lose because there is no give. There is no, all it is take at a railroad crossing. Pay attention. Always look both ways. I don't care if the gates are up or the lights aren't flashing. Always look both ways. Always pay attention of what you're doing when you cross them, and make sure you can clear the tracks when you cross.
Yes, don't confuse it with no rest or relaxation. I thought at first that's what you're saying to us. Nobody's going to rest and nobody's going to relax. Not on my watch. It's not going to happen. Drive Safe, we're going to go to Oregon. I know we got the phrase that pays in a few minutes here. In Oregon, the Oregon newspaper, talking about a crow, and not just any crow, it's a talking crow, Drive Safe. True or false? Dude, can crows talk?
I'm going to go out here. Edgar Allan Poe says so. So I'm going to definitely say, yes, they can.
You know what? And you know, Edgar isn't far from the truth at all. A
very
crow,
smart animal.
very much like a parrot.
Yeah.
You know, said to be, and I don't know who said this, but they say they are as smart as a 7-year-old kid
They are
today.
pretty smart.
I mean, and I don't know. I mean, I like to think my kid at 7 was much smarter than a crow. You know, 2 out of, yeah, you know what? I'll go with half of them were, half of them weren't. How about that? But Drive Safe, this
class.
crow right here, it went into Allendale Elementary School. They got to know this crow pretty well. It started like pecking on the door, and it started going in, eating food in there. And before you know it, it was sitting on their heads, talking, saying things, and they eventually called the authorities out to come get it. They tried to catch it. They didn't catch it to no avail. The parrot, the crow went outside. It sits out there, and it's known to say a few choice words as well. Yeah. So obviously a pet somewhere, I'm going to assume.
Absolutely.
But my gosh, I mean, if a crow's on my head, and I wish my wife was here online right now, ask her feelings on a bird. If that crow came into her and sat on her shoulder, on her head, she would have a fit. That crow wouldn't be talking much longer. I'm going to say that right now.
You know, what's interesting is that it had almost a 40 word vocabulary or something like that, and it was making sense on like putting words together in combination with what it wanted it done. It wasn't like it was just throwing words out there. It was like get the dog out, like when the dog came in, like get the dog out, like take the dog back outside.
I didn't believe it. I actually looked at other videos on YouTube, and you know what? If you're extremely, extremely bored, look at crow videos. It's kind of cool, I guess. But this lady would have like 6 or 7 colors and show red, orange, pink, blue, and say, okay, now pick out the blue one, and the crow would pick it out.
How you doing? Are you stuck in the blizzard?
Here,
say hello. Say hello. Hey, hello.
Hello. Hello.
That's a crow.
Were you stuck in the basement because it's so much snow, huh? How are you? How are you? How are you?
How are you?
Pretty cold, buddy.
How are you? How are you?
I'm cold.
I'm just going to go out there again and say BS. There's somebody right behind the lady.
No.
Hey, how are you? How are you?
No,
how are you?
no,
There's no chance that crow can speak. The only crow I know can speak is Cheryl Crow. Drive safe, Dave. They only crow, and Alan doesn't talk about Cheryl.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I read a story about how a crow can take, how they're so smart. They take like sticks to reach down into things to poke it and then pull it out because no other way could they get it. No other animal could do that. They actually take a stick and stick it down into something, and that way they can pull out what they can eat. It's pretty interesting how they can utilize tools. There's one of the few animals that actually utilize a tool to get done. Other than humans use tools, but a crow can actually use a tool.
Sir Rick doesn't even use tools.
That is
it is time for that phrase that pays. Drive safe, Dave. Give us that phrase that pays, sir.
Dashing through the snow, remember to increase space and go slow.
One more time.
Dashing through the snow, remember to increase space and go slow.
Hold on a second. I want you to sing it, though. Come on now.
Dashing through the snow, remember to go slow. Remember to go increase space and go slow. I can't sing that part.
All right. Well, you heard it twice. Don't go off the singing version. It no trabajo. Drive safe. What's that mean, sir?
That means when you do encounter inclement weather like snow, make sure that you reduce your speed and you travel at a rate that will allow you to be successful in there. You know, snow is a dangerous situation. It's not impassable, but what it does require you to alter the way you drive right now. Make sure you never exceed the limitations of being successful or your speed to be successful out there on the road. You never go faster than what is required to be successful.
This is BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation. Buckle up, Bob's coming up next.
Your host. Watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. BCB Live covers freight. Here we are now, 21% of record freight being rejected. News down in Texas. We're going to talk a little bit about this. We had another $1.5 million seizure. If ever there's a time to do a pre or post trip, it's if you're doing something wrong. Weather, traffic.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to some traffic and weather with Buckle Up Bob. You kind of see where the visibility can be compromised a little bit. Again, right where that rain is.
And most importantly, safety.
One of the things that we must do is make sure that safety is the number one thing that we focus on.
Going into an intersection yellow is not the way. That's to clear an intersection, not to enter an intersection.
Tune in weekdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can watch BCB Live through LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It is Buckle Up Bob. Welcome to the safest station in the nation. Man, oh man, it is getting close to Christmas. And again, we're going to talk this week about driving during the holiday season as our safety topic. And we're going to start that off with rush hour traffic, right? Again, the DFW area, it really looks just to be a typical commute this morning. You know, you're going to have slowdowns. Most of the Dallas-Fort Worth area is under construction as the city and surrounding areas continue to grow. So one of the major points here is 67 coming up from the south, a little bit down here by this airport south of Dallas. So you might, just north of Duncanville, a little bit of a slowdown on the northbound lane. But otherwise, it's just that 5 to 10 minute traffic delays as you go around the Metroplex this morning. 35W in the right at the downtown area of Fort Worth has a little bit of slowdown both directions. Again, that's just typical rush hour traffic. It does not appear to be overly bad, 5 minutes or so. The same way with the 35W as you go up from the south, the northbound lane. Typically, this is all the way from Burleson up to the Loop. But again, just a little slowdown right now. So traffic looks really good for the DFW area. So again, pack your patience and increase your space. All right, and as we move into the Kansas City area, we will see that, is this Kansas City? I'm lost here, folks. This is not Kansas City. Let me figure out where I'm at. This is Houston. Okay, sorry about that. I forgot we had it in Houston. Oh, goodness. my bad, folks. But Houston looks like, I was like, man, this looks horrible for Kansas City. But Houston looks, again, what it is, right? 45, the main thoroughfare passing through north to south, very congested all the way from the loop down to the southern edge of the loop. But the loop itself looks pretty good. Just a little bit of slowdown here over by Jersey Village. 10 coming in from the west is got a little bit of a slowdown here just as you get past Katy. So again, but it just looks like the typical normal rush hour traffic. Nothing looks out of the ordinary. You're looking in that 10-minute to 15-minute range. So just be mindful of that. Be slow. Again, you're going to get there. It's really, you're not going to lose the time you think. That's one of the big false senses of reality that we have as drivers is we think we're going to make up all this time by speeding, or we think we're going to lose all this time if we just be patient, slow down, let them in, and it just doesn't happen. So again, slow down if you're in the Houston area. It looks like some typical rush hour traffic this morning, but it's all manageable, and nothing looks outside of the 15-minute range, except this northbound 45 section could be a 20 to 30-minute delay. Kansas City looks good. No issues on the Kansas City side, right? Everything just looks really good. There is nothing that looks to be over 5 minutes, even if there is one that's 5 minutes. I think they're all less than that this morning. So again, if you're coming into the Kansas City area, make sure you just keep it slow, be patient, just keep up the flow, keep plenty of space between you and the vehicle in front of you, and everything should work out. Remember, be that defensive posture, a defensive driver, let them in, yield the right of way versus taking it, and you'll find your commute will go a lot smoother. As we move into Chicago, Chicago looks good again this morning on a Monday as you move in. The 8094 corridor coming across from Indiana into Illinois or vice versa looks very good. The loop, 294 loop, looks great. Bolingbrook, typically a problem, not an issue this morning. 80 South, and then near Joliet also looks good. 88 by Aurora looks great. And then the 90 up there by Elgin and Schaumburg all look great. Even 94 going up to Wisconsin looks good this morning as you come into the Chicago area. As we get into Atlanta, always an issue, right? A lot of traffic issues in Atlanta. And this morning looks just about as bad as it ever has. But again, we got to be patient and realize that, you know what, maybe this is a good time. If you've got time, drivers out there, pull over and maybe let some of this subside. I know Atlanta, it doesn't really get much better. I mean, Atlanta has traffic all through the day, but maybe it's just a little bit lighter for you, and maybe the loops are a little bit more clear once rush hour gets over. So again, plan your trips to try to avoid that Atlanta area during rush hour traffic if you can. Now, if you can't, you got to take the loops. Remember that. It's against the law to pass through the center of Atlanta, north or south. You must take the loop around it unless you deliver inside the loop. But as we can see, all the way here from 20 on the east side, the loop has got some traffic all the way to 20 on the west side. So we've got problems coming in from the east on 20, slowdowns coming in from the west on 20 as you approach the loop. Again, the best part of the loop is the southern part, 285 south, around to 20. And then even if you got to go up to 85, you're best to take this south loop because you're going to run into less traffic and just have this one spot versus all the way around if you try to go north. But that's up to you, but just remember, Atlanta's going to be some slowdown this morning as you approach the city. As we go into the Philadelphia area, again, looks pretty good. I mean, considering, right? Philadelphia, major city. We still have some traffic coming along the river, heading south on 95 into Philadelphia. The turnpike always has some issues, but again, not a lot of dark red. So looks like typical more rush hour traffic all the way back to Conshohocken. And again, to the city. But the New Jersey side looks great. South of Philadelphia looks good. 476 near Swarthmore usually has a little bit of slowdown, but again, we're looking at that 15 to 20 minute delay at top. So looks pretty good commute this morning if you're going into the Philadelphia area. As we approach Nashville, we'll look up here and not too bad. I mean, Walnut Ridge, again, this is typically where it starts. The backup on 24 northbound. So as you come up into the Nashville Loop, you're going to run into a little bit of slowdown there, stop and go traffic all the way up to 155. But 40 looks great coming through the city on both sides. Looks like we might have an accident out here on the western side by just south of Pegram, Tennessee, and before you get to Newsom. So if you're heading that way, it is on the eastbound side, or eastbound direction, if you will, as you approach 40. But again, it's the light yellow, so it looks like it's just some slowdown. Might be a 10 to 15 minute delay in that area. Our merge at 2465 looks better this morning than it did last couple days last week. So again, Nashville, you should have a pretty normal, safe commute if you just slow down. As we come into the Baltimore area, again, the northern loop looks pretty busy this morning, right? We've got the southbound direction on 695, and then up by Pikesville, it will be the north and the eastbound direction. When you get over here to Towson and Parkville and Overlay, you're going to see it in both directions. So there's your slowdown on the loop. The southern part of the 695 loop looks great in the Baltimore area, as does 295. Not too bad. A little bit on the southbound direction to D.C. You're going to have a couple areas, Jessup, and again at South Laurel, that might be some 10-minute delays, 5 minutes, somewhere in that range. 95 coming south. You've got some here by Owen Brown and Longreach, just on the northern side of Jessup. So be ready for that if you're coming south into the D.C. area. All in all, Washington, D.C. does not look too terribly bad for this Monday, right? You're always going to have some traffic there. Again, looks like both directions on the eastern side, all the way from Beltsville down to Mitchellville and Kettering. And then again along the south side, Silver Spring, Bethesda. And again at Annandale and 66, we got a little bit of a slowdown as we come into the city near Fair Oaks. As we go to our next city, Indianapolis. Indianapolis has some issues this morning, folks. Looks like the entire northbound lane on the eastern side of 465, all the way down here by Beech Grove, all the way up to past Lawrence, Indiana. You're going to have some slowdown here. Maybe there's an accident. And then again over here on the southern part of 74 loop by the airport. 70 looks pretty good as you go through the city and the downtown area. So looks like 70 might be the best way to navigate the city this morning, because the eastern side of the loop looks to be congested going northbound. All right, our weather. Currently, we just got a little bit of a system coming into the California, some rain. The rest of the country looks pretty good as we start our day today. As we go through the week, you can see there's some snow expected to come in up in the northwest. It's going to kind of stay there, the Reno area as well. As we go in tomorrow, kind of shifts a little bit more to the east. Nevada, Idaho is going to see it, and some showers maybe pop up in the southeastern Texas and Arkansas area. Our winds, we're going to see some winds as well again. There you go. We're going to see them 35 to 50 mile an hour gust potential. You can see the really kind of gets lighter up here in Northern California. That's going to be in the 50 potential gusts. Currently, right now, we do have some strong winds up there. Some 39 mile an hour gusts. Again, we're approaching that as if it gets worse, you need to pull over. You absolutely at 39 need to slow it down to about 50 to 55 to avoid the rollovers. Also in Nevada, nothing showing up there as far as gusts. And 36 just a little bit south of Reno, 36 mile an hour gusts. And that's current. As we go through, it dies down just a little bit, but then tomorrow we're going to see the same thing in a bigger area. You can see all the way Southern California into Arizona, Utah, Wyoming, going to see some strong winds. The Northeast looks really good as that part goes. And then overnight, it's not going to die down tomorrow night. So we'll be watching that, have some warnings set up for drivers out there. Check your local weather. Make sure that you're monitoring the wind conditions. The winds are this time of year are going to kick up, and we got to be ready for them. You've got to slow down. Remember, your weight and the taking these curves too fast. Remember, they are posted for perfect conditions and for automobiles. So you've got to slow down in the curves. If we look just to see what our new snow is going to be, There you can see in the next 12 hours. And there we're going to see some more in Reno, in the upper elevations of Nevada, Utah, Idaho, as well as Oregon and the western Rockies there in Denver. We're going to see some snowfall in the next 3 days. Looks to be about that 6 to 8 inch range maybe. But again, most of it's going to be in the upper elevations because our temperatures, let's see what our temperature is supposed to do. Temperatures are all going to be above freezing for the next few days. So we should not, let's see what it does Tuesday. Yeah, again, you're going to be in the 40, 60. Reno, 26, so that's where a lot of the major snow is going to happen. So again, should be just in the mountaintops, but the roadways should be pretty clear. Maybe one of those things where overnight you have to take a break and wait for the sun to come up, the plows to get out, and you should have a pretty safe travel in the western part of the country. Hey, we're going to take a quick break and be right back.
Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Buckle up, Bob. Drive safe, Dave. Moving that railroad crossing. When you see the wind blowing like that, make sure you pull over. That railroad crossing sign was all over the place right there, a little Wonga. So let's just make sure that we pay attention to that. Buckle up, Bob. Talk to me a little bit. Talk to me about the crows. Are you a believer in the crow is as smart as a 7-year-old?
No.
I'm going to agree with you.
I just can't believe it.
I'm probably going to say it's not as smart as a 7-year-old.
I don't know. I've met some pretty stupid 7-year-olds. I'm gonna go with the crow on this
you know
one.
what I say? That question you want to pose to a teacher, right? That teaches 7-year-olds. I can guarantee you they go, all day. If it just sits there and says nothing, it's better than what my kids say, and probably smarter.
Yeah, you know what's really funny is that if you ask any parent, nothing is as smart as their 7-year-olds, right?
I don't know.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and disagree on that one. I think if I had a kid and it was stupid, then that is what it is. I don't know what to tell you. If a crow is smarter than my son.
Wait till he has kids.
Yeah, no doubt.
My kid, look at my he's stupid. I mean, said a dad never. I'm telling you, that will get you kicked out and get you in the doghouse really, really quick.
Absolutely.
I don't have a lot of marital advice or parental advice, but I can tell you, producer, don't say that. Whatever you do. Hey, buckle up. Talk to us about some weather and some safety, sir.
Yes, sir. This week we want to talk about the weather, of course, and how it relates to the holiday driving. As many of us prepare for the trip next week, there's going to be an estimated 107 million drivers out on the roadways making trips this season. That's up 3% from last year. So again, it's going to be chaotic. It's going to be hectic. And so we're going to give you some driving tips to be safely able to navigate that. And the first one is, hey, plan ahead. Make sure your vehicle's ready for any inclement weather. Make sure you've got good tires, right? Make sure the car's tuned up so you don't get stranded. And again, you want to make sure that your car, your vehicle is ready for any kind of weather issues. Also, check ahead. What are the weather routes along the route that you're going to have? What's expected? If it's a 2-day trip, hey, what's going to happen in this area may be following you. You may be driving into it, and it's going to pass you. But kind of have that idea and where you can start out and where you might have to take a break.
I'll tell you what. You talk about planning ahead of our own personal vehicles. I'll tell you what. Well, a lot of things that people neglect is windshield wipers, the blades themselves, and also ensure that you have windshield wiper fluid inside your automobile. We do that in the truck, but make sure it's there because you want to be able to clean off those windshields when that mud spray comes up and stuff like that, and make sure that you have a towel, make sure that you have gloves, Make sure there's certain things that you have, and that your jack and your spare are working order when you go out there on the road, because you know what? Flat tires happen.
Mm-hmm.
What about the new cars? They don't even come with spares anymore, right?
No, I know.
No,
they
the
don't.
little donuts.
Even
Yeah,
then,
those
though,
really
make
cool.
sure you have one. They don't even come with donuts.
No, they don't. You got to actually pay extra for a spare. Now, if you want to get your car, you have to pay extra.
Mine came with a donut, so again, so it's not all of them.
No, I didn't say all of them, but yeah, my
There
okay.
you
what-
go.
All right,
You know
we
what?
got some
Videos.
videos.
It started with chess, and now it's going to donuts on cars. You know, the competition continues.
Why do we talk about donuts?
I will lose that battle. Hey, we got some dust, you know, as you go in. Again, make adjustments for the weather. Slow it down. Visibility, it's no different than fog or heavy rain right here, right? You cannot see. So as the dust storms pick up, this is in West Texas, I believe. So,
believe
again,
that.
when we had all that wind.
Just
You
a
know-
shocker.
Yeah, all you see is dust in the wind.
And
wow.
and I'll tell you, you know, it's a good idea to position yourself behind the other truck if you're going to be this far back, because that way you can't see. It's easier to see his reaction to what's on the road and stuff like that.
Hey, before we see these, I know we have some listeners that are on that go-to webinar right now. Understand right now, you're getting the best of us because it's the voice only, right? I mean, we don't have faces made for this station for TV, but we do have for the radio. So just imagine again kind of what we must look like back here. But you can go into the LinkedIn page
Right,
or the YouTube channel, and
we're
you
the-
get to see who we are. You may log in there and say, I'm going right back to the go-to webinar because they sound a lot better than they look. Producer?
I will say that is not permanent. It's just something that's going on with GoToWebinar. We're gonna call the support after the show today, so don't think that we're gonna be hiding behind you guys for the rest of the time. It's just an issue today.
All right. Hey, our next one again, man, you know, merge points, folks. This looks wide open, right? But you've always got to be ready. Check your mirrors, keep on swivel.
Knew that was going to happen.
Look at that.
I knew that
is
was
just-
going to happen. I mean, you saw the merge coming. All you were waiting for was a four-wheeler or a truck. Thank God. I mean,
Yeah, because there's nothing on the right coming up on the ramp.
Yeah, you can.
And then
you
all
can-
of a sudden,
you can-
boom,
can
there you see
it.
him in both mirrors.
Yeah,
Woo.
you can see it in the mirror.
wow.
And you know what? He bounces all the way out to the hammer lane really quickly too. So
Yeah.
so he's in a hurry.
Keep your head on a swivel. Look for these things that are going on. When you see the craziness out there, again, we're going to say this. Your one thing you must do is just let them in. You know, be patient, let them in, because only bad things can happen if you don't. You know, it's craziness out there. It's chaotic out there. And for some reason, this car thinks that what they need, where they're going, is more important than what you have.
Absolutely. And again, you see this stuff a lot when they have this false sense of security that nothing is going on. You know, it was wide open there, and so they think it's safe, and it's really not. Here again, you know, four-wheeler making 3-lane change pass. Again, as it go through, you just got to know the situation, right? Here he comes from the outside, boom, 1, 2, and exit. Just not a good thing, folks. Again, but you got to be ready. And great job. Look how quick this driver here in the video increased that space, right? Right here, there's not a whole lot of room, but he gets the signal, and you can see the speed starts to come back. They just anticipated what was going to happen. And then what was really scary is, didn't that truck move over at the same time?
Yeah, it was moving. He didn't see the vehicle behind him.
Yeah.
He was just looking at the cleared. See, the truck can't see that car because he's in his blind spot now. The truck's coming over, already coming over.
Yes.
And that car just bounces all the way to the outside across several lanes of traffic. Basically
And
passes on the
Yeah.
look in no lane.
Oh, man. And again, this is what we're talking about this holiday season. This is going to get worse, folks. I'm just telling you, the roads are going to get congested, and you're going to have these people that just seem to think their trip's more important, or really, I really believe everybody thinks that you're going to make up all this great time, and you're not.
All right, and here you go. This next video out here on the open road.
Oh.
Ugh, that's why. Why?
Whew.
Why?
This is insane.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So talk me through this for a minute. I mean, Should anybody be passing on this right now?
No passing
Why
zone.
not?
No passing zone.
And how do you know that?
The line's on your side of the median.
So have we done a good enough job? Do we need to go back and re-educate the four-wheelers on what this means? Because not only do you see the sign up here as well, you see the stripe, you see the line, I should say, going down the road. My goodness, drive safe, Dave, and buckle up, Bob. We're asking for a fatality right here.
And it's not just that, Sir Rick. It's a curve. It's a curve. You should know you never pass on a curve. You can't see what's coming. And that's the problem. Herein lies this issue. It's not just the line, which means don't pass, but it's hilly and there's a curve. You can't see these vehicles, and that's just too close. I mean, that's too close, too dangerous. And I'll tell you what, this right here is a sense of entitlement that just can't be allowed out on the street.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in and say this. Not only do we have to get the word out to these four-wheelers about things like this, because what we don't know is how that big truck right there is going to react during this, right? I mean, is he looking back there? Is he starting to slam his brakes? Is something going to happen that can cause danger? Maybe lose control. Maybe the vehicle behind him hits him. A lot of bad things happen from one bad mistake. My God, you've got to pack your patience.
Yeah, people don't understand how quick those two vehicles are coming at each other, and the timing is, no one can judge that very well. You think you can, but nobody can judge that coming in. And look at the driver, moved all the way over onto the shoulder of the road to try to give as much space as he could to the guy illegally passing.
Yeah, and again, this is on 287. We see all this stuff happening on 287. Again, just phenomenal there, and good, great job of the driver getting as much speed out of that equation. Here again, we got some weather and speed coming up to the intersection. Looks a little icy here. Time to get off the road. Maybe that's what this driver was doing. And that vehicle didn't look like they could stop. So again,
everybody's driving
this
very
winter
slow.
weather, folks. It's coming. This is the time it starts to pick up. Know your area. Again, you've got great job of this driver creeping up to an intersection that has a weather situation. Remember, speed limits and stuff are all for perfect conditions, but this driver did an amazing job there just creeping up to that intersection.
Were we sliding backward a little bit at the end of the video? Did anybody notice that at the end of that video? Did we slide back or roll back a little bit? I was just taking a peek. See, at the very end of the video, when we came to a complete stop, it looked like maybe did we go backwards at all, or did we?
No, I didn't see anything.
No?
Again, we talk about, all we're doing is proving the crow theory, right?
Yeah,
right? I mean, that's all we do. Even at 47 years old, the crow can be smarter than some that we know.
Wow.
Not you, Drive Safe Dave. You're as smart as they come and as lovable as you can get. We want to make sure you know that. Listen, we're going to go to a quick prayer right now. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this day you've given us. We ask for your arms around those families that have just lost a lot of loved ones through that storm. I ask you to be with our drivers and to be with anybody who's losing somebody, who has just lost somebody as well. I ask you to be with those that are fighting cancer, those that are fighting through some sickness, to give them the strength to pull through this. We ask for your love, for your forgiveness, and we ask that you give us that ability to step up as a trucking industry like we should, like we can, to do unto others as you would done to them, to do unto others. Lord, give us that ability to do that. We ask this all in your name. Amen. Everybody, this is BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation, and we'll see you this afternoon at 1400-ish.